Yesterday, Judge Hardy sentenced us to a cold shower for 60 seconds. And he said, if you do that, you'll be awarded a medal, an orange lanyard. So let me see. You got some here, some here. The rest of you are wimps. I'm not a wimp. If there's anything I hate more than anything, it's a cold shower. But I'm going to wear this proudly. I did 90 seconds this morning. Okay, it was horrid. Do you mind if I ask you a personal question? Are you happy? Okay. I shouldn't have wasted that question on you guys. You answer that question yes, and most of you do. Some of you might say, no, not really. Others will say, well, maybe. But those are all the wrong answers. The right answer is, I'm working on it. Because you see, there's always more happiness. There's always a higher level, because happiness is a scale. Look at the red arrow. It goes up and up and up. It goes up through contentment. Life is pretty good. As they say in England, all things considered, not bad. Not bad. But that's a fairly modest level, but it goes up through interest, curiosity, excitement, gratitude, enthusiasm, and on up to higher levels. Exhilaration, even ecstasy. Sound, please.
Too high, it's true.
Yay! That's how I get up in the morning.
At least.
I'm back again. Here we go. So we go up the scale, and if you go through those 8 questions that David Hardy talked about yesterday, you can start to sink lower on the scale through frustration, hostility, complaining, anxiety, fear, down and down to sadness and despair. Sometimes I feel I'm born to lose. All my life I've lived in vain. All my dreams have only brought me pain. Hopefully there's nobody that feels that way, but we're all someplace on this scale and at different times in our life, but we have a steady state. You might call it a happy place. Ray Charles, I love Ray Charles. But his happiness place in this is the enjoying the self-pity. Life is hard. I'm a loser. I'm not going to make it. But then all of you folks here, well, you go up and down this happiness scale, and that's great. Emotions are wonderful. I want to repeat what Craig said. Emotions are great. Every one of you sitting here right now has an emotion. Interest, curiosity, maybe you're feeling grateful for being here, excited. You know, whatever it is, you're feeling emotions right now. We feel emotions all the time in government, and they're good. But we have a happy place, a steady level. It can go up and down, but it's a level we usually get at. And this guy's happy place is a complainer, grievances, indignation. He's sitting in a bar, 200 pounds overweight, drinking a pint of beer. That's his happy place, but it's not very happy. And we can scale up, and that's not going to happen by accident. If you want to scale up, you have to do happiness planning so that you can level up your happiness. Now, I want to begin with a story. And in this story is the lesson I learned when I was much, much younger. And it stayed with me all my life, and it brought me here on this stage today. A long time ago, I learned this lesson. And all of the success and the wealth that I've been able to create, and whatever happiness I'm enjoying has come from this lesson. And as you listen to this story, I want you to identify what this lesson was. Okay, I'm 17 years old, clueless, living in London, England, and I read this thing in the newspaper that said Roger Holden, Charles Wallace, two young men, planned to drive a car to Australia, from London to Australia. I thought this was really cool. This was exciting. This was an adventure. So in the cafe that night, I said to my friends, I said, guys, there's these two men, they're going to drive a car from London to Australia. What do you think of that? You know, the way they looked, I could have said, hard-boiled eggs walk sideways. That's ridiculous, they said. I said, why is it ridiculous? Well, some of those countries that you have to go through don't even have roads that you can drive a car on. I said, well, of course they have roads. That's ridiculous. What about petrol and gasoline? What if you get sick? What if the car breaks down? And they would come up with one obstacle after another, and I would say, well, you sure? You know, we could do that. We'll solve that. We'll solve this. We'll solve that. Anyhow, we argued for half an hour, maybe an hour, and I lost that argument. So finally I said, I think it's possible. I'm going to go with them. So I called them, visited their home in Surrey, England, and talked to them, liked them, they liked me, and so they invited me to join them. And then they found another, so there's four of us, all around 17, 18, 19 years old, just kids. And for every weekend, for month after month, I would get on the train and go down to their home, and we'd sit around the kitchen table. It's now littered with papers, you know, how are we going to do this, how are we going to do this, what are we going to take, what supplies we're going to need, a passport? What's a passport? Where'd you get one? How much does it cost? Now remember, this is 1958, 59. No internet, not even any cell phones. Can you believe that? Could you live without a cell phone? There wasn't. We didn't even have phones in our homes. And of course, there was no Starbucks, so Julie wouldn't be happy. So these were very, very difficult times, post-war England. And so we made up lists, and we asked ourselves a lot of questions. We did a lot of thinking. How about this, and how about that? What about the car? What kind of supplies, medical supplies, all those kind of things. And we did this weekend after weekend, and then we started getting ready. And we're getting ready to go. We're getting close to going. And one of the men said, guys, I have to tell you, I'm sorry, I can't come. My mom is ill. I just can't leave her. I'm sorry, I'm not coming. So that was a blow. And I thought, well, three of us, that's okay. But then the other guy said, my girlfriend and I, we've fallen in love. We didn't plan it. I'm sorry, guys. So we're going to get married. So I can't come either. So then the other guy looked at me and said, Carl, two of us, that's not enough. So it's off. And on that scale of happiness, I sank right down on a level with Ray Charles. Born to lose. Oh my God, this dream, all of this preparation, all this planning, all this time spent on it, all just in a moment, it all went away. So I got on the train. I'm feeling low and unhappy, but I'm also hopeful. Oh no, hold on, I forgot the best bit here. So after they said that, it's off, I sort of sat there for a while, stunned, sort of shook my head, and I looked up at them and I said, well, I'll go by myself. They said, that's ridiculous. You can't go by yourself. I said, sure I can. I'll walk if I have to, but I'm going to Australia. I can backpack, I can hitchhike, I'll do whatever I need to do, but I'm going to Australia. So when I got on the train, while I was unhappy, I also had some hope. So that's what I did. I bought some big, tough walking boots. I got a big backpack and got all my supplies and everything. I'm ready to go. And the phone rang. I don't know where the phone was, but the phone rang. And it was Roger Holden. And he said, Carl, are you still going to Australia? I said, yes, in fact, I'm leaving. He said, oh, no, I want to come with you. I said, sorry, Roger, no, I'm not, I can't do that. I'm sorry, I'm leaving next week. He said, please, wait for just 1 week, would you? And I said, well, okay, but don't disappoint me again. I'll put it off for just 1 week, and if you're not ready, I'm going to go ahead. Anyhow, we rushed around, got him ready, and so we left together. And then we traveled overland through Europe and Asia, and I'll show you the map in just a minute, and did get to Australia. And I remember the very first day, which was a fun day. We flew across on this little plane across the English Channel to the west coast of France, to a little place called Dinan. We arrived in early evening, and of course we didn't know where to stay. So I would stop people on the street, and I would say, "Pardon, monsieur, pardon, madame, l'auberge de la jeunesse," which in my terrible French, I think means youth hostel. And I would ask some people, and they would, like the French, they would shrug and say, "No," and they would walk away. And this one fellow said, "Ah, oui." And he pointed to this huge stone building. And I looked back at him, I says, "L'auberge de la jeunesse." He said, "Oui, over there." So we walked up to this big stone building, huge door, big iron knocker, and knocked on the door. Now, if Donald Trump had answered the door, I would have been surprised. But nothing prepared me for what happened when that door opened. Because standing in front of me was the Mother Superior in her black and white habit, top to bottom, looking at me 3 feet away. Now, I'd never met a nun, never talked to a nun. I think I may have seen them in the movie. Scared the life out of me. I said, blah, 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 blah. And she said, oui, come on, entrez-vous, come on in. Sweet lady. Anyhow, we got in there, and she invited us to dinner with all her nuns. And we were shy. By this time, I'm 18 years old, never talked to a nun before. It was just like, well, who are these people? What do they think about? Had no idea. I was clueless. But it was a wonderful evening. They were delightful. They were fun. They thought it was hilarious that we were going to walk to Australia. And so that's what we did. We took off from there, down through France, across and down the south of France, across Italy into Yugoslavia, went into Bulgaria. Bulgaria at that time was totalitarian, communist, sinister, bleak, really cold and hostile. We would drive for a little while, and soldiers would come out from the sides of the road, and they would search us, search the car, ask us a lot of hostile questions, which we had no clue. And so we just, I don't know. So anyhow, they would send us on, and another 100 miles on there, the soldiers would come outside, search us, search the car, and so forth. So we got out of Bulgaria, and I'll never forget leaving this cold, bleak, totalitarian, totally unfree wolf. Totally unfree. As unfree as you could be. And then we got into Turkey. And the Turkey and the customs, it was party time. Hey, good to see you guys. Where you from? Where you going? Have a drink. I mean, it was just such a contrast. And I never forget that moment. And they were fairly free, Turkey in those days, fairly free. And anybody here from Turkey? Yay. Loved being in Turkey. Had a lot of good times in Turkey. So anyhow, we continued from Turkey. We went down to Iran, Tehran, down through the Iranian desert to Isfahan, where they're currently doing a lot of nuclear research, through Isfahan into Pakistan, north to Lahore, went across the rest of Pakistan into India. I love India. Anybody here from India? Of course there are. Love India. Love Indian people. So we stopped in on the north of India to see the Taj Mahal, magnificent building. If you ever get the chance, go see the Taj Mahal. It's really a wonder. It is a wonder of the world. And then crossed India to Calcutta, spent some time in Calcutta, stayed at a gentleman's club there. It was wonderful. We stopped in all kinds of interesting places. We stopped in youth hostels, of course, and people's homes, universities. One night, spent the night in a jail. Not like that. It was in the officer's dorm. So that was in Ceylon. So we're in Calcutta, and I decided to take a train from the top of India, Calcutta, here, all the way down there. And didn't have very much money by this time, so I decided I would travel third class. And I got on the train early, and it was just as well because the train filled up. When I got on the train, there was a luggage rack on the side of the carriage, and I put my stuff up there, I laid there, I slept there, I rested there for 3 days on this train. Oops, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. So for 3 days on this, they brought on chickens and goats and all kinds of things, and it got really crowded. So I traveled down to the tip of India, across the water, a ferry to Ceylon, which is now called Sri Lanka. Stayed in that. Ceylon was just so beautiful back then, lush and lovely, and I had a wonderful time there. And then went on to Australia. By the time I got to Ceylon, I was very low on money. So I was being very careful, and I lived on bananas. You could buy 6 bananas for a penny. So that became breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I love bananas, I still do. So then it went on from there to Australia. And by this time, I had run out of money, so we needed to get a job. So the first job that came in Valley was cutting down trees and clearing brush from the land. And so this is us. We built the farmer was not very friendly. He didn't have any place for us to stay, so he gave us a bunch of grain sacks and some cord and said, make yourself home. And so we sewed these sacks together and built ourselves a home. And that is me, incidentally, in the foreground, and that's Roger Holden behind us. Okay, so now I've got to Australia, and there's a whole bunch of stories there, which I'm not going to tell you, but now I want to rewind to the question I asked you. What was the lesson I learned on this experience? Lots of experiences, lots of problems to solve, had to continue to, determined independence, moving along. Remember, I'm still just a kid. I'm younger than most of you people here. So what was the lesson that I learned at that time? Just shout it out. What do you think it is? Say again, please. Independence, a great answer.
Everyone's always going to have excuses for why you can't do something.
Everyone's going to have excuses. That's right. We're going to meet people and say, no, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. Oh, that was a good one. Who said that? Yeah, good. Self-reliance. Yes, Betsy. Achievement. Yeah, every step of the way. Commitment. Say it again. Perseverance. Oh, great answers. Yes, Yar. The power of the dream. Oh, yeah. Say again. Oh, it's the journey, not the destination. Great. All great answers. But the actual answer is? The actual answer is it was thinking, because we knew nothing. We were kids. We didn't even know what a passport was. A visa? What's a visa? Why do we need a visa? Inoculations? Why do we need them? And what do we get? And where do you get them from? Remember, this is 1958, before many of you were born. It was a very different time. So it was the thinking and the planning. That's where it all started. We sat around this kitchen table, lots of paper, lists and applications and things like that. And we had to say, what is this? How do you fill it out? What do you do? How much does it cost? All these questions we had to think about. And then we wrote down plans, made lists of supplies, lists of medical supplies, directions, got maps. Which route are we going to take? All of these questions we had to answer, and we did. And I've been thinking and planning for the rest of my life. And I didn't know it. It's interesting. I learned and experienced it, and then every year I would just sit down and say, what do I want to do next year? What plans will I want to create? And I just did that automatically, and I learned that lesson. It was much later. I said, you know, what is this going on here? And it was the thinking and planning. And we'll talk a little bit more about thinking now. I love this quote. As you think, you travel. I traveled by thought, by thinking. I traveled to Australia. And I thought every step of the way, where am I going to stay tonight? Should I eat the food? Maybe. Should I drink the water? Remember, I was clueless. I drank the water and got very sick. You know, didn't know all these things. But I thought my way all the way and ended up in Australia. If I stopped thinking at any time, I would still be, you know, in Bulgaria or someplace. But it was every step of the way, and that's what. And you got here today by thinking. Philosophy for freedom and flourishing? What's that about? Should I take the time to do it? Yeah, that's a great idea, and it was a great idea. Welcome. And then how am I going to get there, and how much money? All this thinking you had to do, it brought you right here. And perhaps more important, wherever you want to go, it's your thinking that'll take you there, your thoughts. And that's simple. If there's ever a secret of life, it's thinking. And of course, we think all the time. All of us think. You know, getting out of bed, you can get out of bed without thinking. Oh, I suppose I'll get up. That's a thought. Oh, yeah, no, I'll just snooze for another 10 minutes. One of my favorite things. So, you know, we do it all the time. But what I'm talking about is serious thinking. Purposeful questions. What am I going to do with my life? I know that was a big question for me. A dear friend of mine is going through this process right now, very successful, had a great career, and he's now saying, what do I want to do with my life now? And he's been struggling and thinking about that and talking to me about it for a couple of years. Has all kinds of wonderful opportunities. Could do this, could do that, I'm thinking about this, weighing averages. Lots of opportunities, lots of people want to work with him and do things. He's saying, what am I going to do with my life? He's being very thoughtful about it. What is my purpose? Very, very big question. And how should I live? What should I do? What shouldn't I do? Now, you can't answer these questions. They're too broad. They have to be broken down into smaller questions. And you have to use a method to do it. Big questions like this, they're very challenging. And the way to do it is through a method, and I'll go over that in just a moment, and you have a handout there, a chart that I created many years ago, sort of some fun methods of thinking. A favorite quote from Ayn Rand, thinking is man's only basic virtue. Thinking is man's only single virtue. And all the other virtues proceed from this one virtue. That's something to think about. A virtue is the actions we take in life to get what we want. I'm talking now secular virtues. These are not religious or social virtues such as faith, hope, and charity, and saving the planet and so forth. These are life-serving actions. That's what I mean as virtues. And thinking is the virtue that takes us where we want to go. That's a virtue. Planning is a virtue because it describes what we're going to be doing and how we're going to get to where we want to go. And man's greatness. Anybody here want to be great, want a great life, want to do something important, want to be heroes, want to write books, want to travel, want to do great things with your life? Here's the answer. It's the power of thought, thinking, tough thinking, hard thinking, which you can do with various methods. And these are some lists. You can't do what you don't think. It's just impossible. Even to pick up your fork to eat breakfast. You have to think about that. Oh, no, I have another bite. Oh, no. Or Julie would say, I'm full up. I can't take another bite. The thinking is going on all the time, just like emotions go on all the time. What method will I use? What should I think about? It's a great question. Have a problem, have an opportunity. Should I think about this problem? Make a decision. If there's an opportunity here, one of the saddest things in life is that we see an opportunity and go, yeah, well, that was a nice idea. This opportunity to go to Australia with these guys, that was an opportunity. I said, yeah, that's an opportunity. When you find an opportunity, don't let it go. Look into it, think about it. Talk to your friends about it. Yeah, this is a great opportunity, I'm going to do this. Jump on an opportunity the way a cat would jump on a mouse. Grasp it. And the thinking method, writing, write blogs, write lists, write alternatives, write. It's a very good process to do that. I do that all the time. I'm sure a lot of you do too. What ifs? I could do this, I could do that, I could do the other. Look at alternatives. If you only have one alternative, you don't have an alternative. If you have two, that's pretty good. I've gone into as many as 15 different alternatives on big opportunities or big problems. I could do this and this and this and this. It's hard to get 15 alternatives, but sometimes it's the 15th alternative which is the right one. Brainstorming. We brainstorm with a friend. We can chat with chat. Who uses chat here? Yeah. Anybody that did not raise their hand, I strongly advise you get involved with artificial intelligence, which I call e-intelligence. It is the thing today, and it is what's happening tomorrow. It's very, very important. Artificial intelligence. Brainstorming. That's a wonderful process with friends or even sort of alone with chat, okay? And there's the scientific method and premises checkings and the other methods you can use. Now, there's some help with planning. You can do it by yourself, and writing and walking and thinking and doing all these things we can do, and that's a good thing to do. But I like to do it with somebody, with a friend, with a romantic partner, with a doctor, with a lawyer, with somebody else. And I find that's very helpful to have a partner. And in business, I used to frequently get a handful of people together or a group of people and say, look, I have a problem. I want you to help me think about this. And I'd have a list of questions and say, we need to think about this. What is the problem? What is the opportunity? Have it defined. Go through a list of questions. And that was enormously beneficial. And I like to think sometimes I'm the smartest guy in the room. But often I'm proved that that's not true. When you encourage people to think with you, to help you answer difficult questions, you'll be surprised at where the answer comes from. And I was frequently surprised. Now let's talk about happiness planning. There are some essentials. Now what's the very first essential with happiness planning? Yell it out.
Besides thinking?
Say again, please.
Besides thinking?
Be what, Seed?
Is it besides thinking instead of thinking?
No, not besides thinking. It's thinking and planning. That's the first action of happiness planning. Thinking and planning. But thinking is the first action that you've got to do. There's no other way of doing it. You've got to do that. And there are three other aspects to happiness planning which I want to cover. A vision, or visions, values, and virtues. You can't get happy without these things, in my view. These are essential. Got to have vision, something that you want, something that you see in the future, something to look forward to. And whatever it is for you, you've got to have that beacon, that inspiration, the wanting, the big wanting. And that big wanting is purposes, dreams, and a heaven on earth. Let me take those one at a time. But before I do that, let me just say this. As children, we want stuff. We want ice cream, we want toys, we want to go to the movies, we want things. We want. And we want to be big people, do all the things that big people do, drive cars and stuff. We want to do those. We want. And then as we go older, perhaps the wanting starts to wane. Those 8 questions start to be answered, yes, yes, yes. And we can, and the fire that we have as children tends to go out. And Ayn Rand advises, with one of my favorite quotes, which I have on my wall at home, do not let your fire go out, sparked by irreplaceable spark. Do not let the hero in your soul perish. And you know, I get a sense from this audience that you have in your soul to be sort of heroes, to have a great life, to do something special. Nobody would attend a conference called Philosophy for Freedom and Flourishing that wasn't interested in freedom and flourishing. You have an aspiration. You want to do something great with your life. Now, I'm going to retreat that, get back. Now, one of the most important visions that is a core to our life is our purpose, a driving purpose. And I was at a point in my life where I didn't have a purpose for the second half of my life. I'd fallen into real estate and made a lot of money in it, did not like real estate. Didn't want to do that. I wanted some significance and some meaning. So I talked to my friends. I said, you know, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. I'm trying to find a purpose. You know, let's talk about it. I drove them crazy. I said, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Figure it out for yourself. So I hired a coach, and that didn't work. I read books. There's one book I remember, What Color is Your Parachute? I think it's still in print. Yeah, somebody says it's still in print. Did every exercise in the book. I still could not figure out what I wanted to do with my life. A central purpose that I was convinced was the right purpose. This is right for me. Couldn't figure it out until I came across the next slide. How many people here know with certainty? Say, I have my central purpose. It's what I want to do, and no question about it. I'm absolutely certain about you. Raise a hand, please. You guys are really fortunate, blessed if you like. Having a central purpose makes such a huge difference in happiness. I don't think you can really be very happy without a central purpose, but I didn't have a central purpose. And then I read this. Productive work is the central purpose. Oh, central purpose. That's right. This is the central purpose. This is not just any purpose, the central purpose of a rational man's, well, I'm rational, at least I think I am, life. It's the purpose of my life. And how do you do that? Well, the central value, it's a central value that integrates, connects, and determines the hierarchy of all his other values. Something, all of my values backed. So I reverse engineered it. I made long lists of values, and I've got a long list of values there which may be helpful to you. And I arranged them top to bottom, 10s at the top and the lower numbers at the bottom. So I arranged them in a hierarchy. And I had things about education, subjects that I enjoyed, things that I was good at, education, business, finance, economics. I had all these long lists of virtues. And I arranged them there. And I looked over the tops, the 10s of all the different characters, and it was the most obvious thing in the world that I came up with. And it was management. Management. I love management. I mean, I read books on management. I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with thinking teams. I enjoyed solving problems. I enjoyed thinking and planning. Oh, that's interesting. When I was 17, I did a lot of thinking and planning. And management, in essence, is thinking and planning. There's a lot more to it, but that's the basics of it. It's thinking and planning. So we're all managers in one way or another. And then I thought, well, what do I want to manage? And so I went back to my values, looked them over, and it was an obvious another thing, education. I love education. Personally, I like to learn. Education is one of the most important values in the world. So what I determined, just 3 words, my central purpose is to manage educational enterprise. An educational enterprise. And I've been doing that for the last 40 years. And I'm still doing it. And I'm in the process now of creating a great virtual university. a great virtual university. It's a serious, serious moonshot I'm currently working on. So if you want to know how to do this, how to get your central purpose, this is the clue. And the thing about this, once you have this central purpose, it permits you to enjoy life on a wider scale. It doesn't limit you. It actually opens up your life. So that was a purpose. So the next thing in terms of vision was dreams. Ayn Rand wrote, ask yourself whether the dream of heaven and greatness should be waiting for you in your grave. Yuck. Maybe we should have it here and now on this earth. On that ski lift, I met a man, and I introduced myself. I said, Carl, what's your name? He said, I'm Chuck. Nice to meet you, Chuck. I said, Chuck, where do you live? He said, oh, I live in two places. I have a home here in Deer Valley, Utah, beautiful ski resort, and in Florida. And I said, well, that's interesting. What do you do that enables you to live in two places? He said, well, I'm a writer. I said, well, what do you write? He said, I write books. I said, well, have you written a book? He said, yeah, I've written several books. I said, oh, that's great. Did you ever get them published? By now, I think he was getting a little irritated. I said, do they sell? He said, as a matter of fact, they've been on the New York Times bestseller list in hardcover longer than any other book in history. He was Charles Givens, the famous author of Wealth Without Risk. Pretty good book. So I got to ski with Chuck, but not really Superman. And one day, I said to him, I said, look, I've been achieving my goals. I've been setting goals all the time. I do a lot of planning, and I'm setting goals. I made a lot of goals. But now I want to set some more goals into the future, and I can't really get my wits around what I want next. And he said, well, you can't do it that way. He said, what you got to start with is a dreams list. A dreams list? What's a dreams list? He said, well, look, imagine that you had everything available to you, all the opportunities, all the time, all the money, everything that you wanted, and you could do anything. And look, these are dreams. Don't censor yourself. Just go a little crazy and write up a dreams list. So I did. I wrote up a dreams list. And here's a few of the dreams that I pursued. One was whitewater rafting. That's a selfie, incidentally. That's me in the boat. That's me in the water. Almost died, but that's another story. That's me in the air, skydiving. One of my dreams, not a big dream, but it's a fun dream. I'm in the air. Thankfully, I'm still in the air. I had a dream of winning a gold medal in NASCAR, amateur ski racing. I won a bronze and then a silver, and that was winning a gold. So I pursued that dream and got it. I had a dream to build some beautiful buildings. So I built these buildings. And I had a dream about racing NASCAR and Formula One, not professionally, but just for fun. I did that, and a bunch of other dreams. I see the pyramids at dawn and all that sort of thing, and traveling. And at the time, I don't have time to do this. I'm not going to do this. But they happen. Somehow it's there, and it brings you to doing it. A dream to climb Kilimanjaro. Crazy dream. In your 50s, climb it? Ooh, crazy, but you do it. Okay. So the vision, you've got the central purpose. You've got a dreams list. Now life is looking pretty good into the future. Got lots of stuff, but there's one more thing that you can create that'll light your fire and keep the fire burning. And that's feel reverence for your own life and want the best, the highest, the greatest, not just sometime in the future, but now for your very own. Imagine a heaven, and then not just dream of it, but demand it, make it happen. I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm going to imagine a heaven. So I did. I said, well, what would it be like if I had a heaven on earth? Well, I have a beautiful home. And I think I'll put in a home gym. I think I'll put in a home theater. And I think I'll put in a chef. You know, it's a dream. It's a heaven. Create your heaven as you might want it. I want a tennis court close by. I want a romantic partner in my. I want pets, of course. I love dogs. So yeah, I'm going to put some pets in there. I'm going to put all my friends there. It's going to be great. It's a heaven. It's a vision. It keeps your fire burning. Now, let's get back to the 3 V's. And now you're talking about values and virtues. Values are all the things, thank you, all the things that you love, that you want to gain them, you want to keep them. A home is a value, a relationship, your friends are a value, money is a value, all of these values that we want to gain or keep. Know what they are. And make it very clear. These are the, and as Craig spoke yesterday, was it just yesterday morning? Wow. Yesterday morning, he talked about the highest values. And his highest value was his career. The work that he does, he loves the work. It inspires him, keeps him motivated all the time. And his romantic relationship with Sarah, very special to him. And education and other things were his highest values. Know what your values are, and then pursue them with virtues. Let's talk about values and virtues for a moment. They are a pair. Can't have one without the other. Just not possible. For instance, you want enriching friendships? You have to be friendly. It's obvious. And the way you become friendly, you spend time with them, you appreciate, you admire them, you're loving and you're honest and all the other virtues. And there's a whole range of virtues, which ends up by having dear, enriching friendships. And if you want to make your friendships better, practice those virtues. Happy children. You listen to them, you have patience, you educate them, and you do those things. They're all virtuous. And some of you are wonderful parents. Like Julie is a great parent. She goes all of those things. And that you get happy, healthy kids. Money, rob a bank. Or, on the other hand, be productive, work, and help people. Helping is a wonderful thing to do. Helping, mutual helping. How can I help you? How can you help me? It's a great question, 2 great thinking questions. Knowledge, obvious. You take courses, you go on YouTube, you come here to get knowledge, get ideas. Love, romantic love in this case. You want romantic love? Hey, guys, you got to be lovable. The ladies are much better at this. They know how to be lovable. They know how to be beautiful. And guys, we need to learn that a little bit, how to be lovable. Clean up and shave and stuff. And loving, you've got to practice loving. You've got to do it. Hug and kiss and compliment, admire, appreciate, do the loving things. And that's what creates a great romantic relationship. Health and fitness. Oh, what a surprise. You have to exercise. Exercise is a virtue. It gets you fit and healthy. Sleep, really, really important. I used to sleep 4 or 5 hours a day, and I thought, what a waste of time. But it's not a waste of time, guys. I've now worked up to 6 to 7 hours a night, and I'm working to get 7 hours every night. And diet, eat right, take the right supplements that you need to. Self-esteem, thinking and planning. Being capable, being successful in life raises your self-esteem. Okay, I'm asking you, who says they have self-esteem in this room? You have self-esteem, yes, no, or maybe? Yes. Okay, some of you didn't raise your hands or you didn't wave at me, so I'll take that as a maybe. But you know what the right answer is to that on self-esteem? I'm working on it. Because you can always get higher levels of self-esteem, and that goes up with happiness. The happy people have much higher self-esteem. And you have high self-esteem, you'll be happier. It all works together. Same thing with love, And I'm talking about love broadly here, not just in romance, but loving stuff. Loving the day, loving your life, loving to read, loving movies, loving each other, loving your friendships, loving your home. All the things that we can love is happy. When you're happy, you love stuff. When you're unhappy, you're not so loving. You're moping around. Nobody's going to love you if you mope. So love and self-esteem right up there. And also energy. High levels of energy when you're happy. Okay, and if you practice the virtues, you'll get self-esteem, and the lion inside of you will emerge. Tomorrow morning, you'll look in the mirror, and you'll see your lion in you. This is a slide I just couldn't resist putting in there. What is the meaning of life? Most people ask that. No, we don't know. What is the meaning of life? It's not such it's sort of obvious once you think about it. The meaning of life is the uplifting values of existence. And it's joy, exaltation, beauty, greatness, heroism. That's why we're alive. That's why you guys are here. You want to enjoy life. You want greatness. You want to do something with your life. You want to make it special. And so those are values, your uplifting values. So know your values and pursue them. Now, this is a discussion that leads to happiness planning. And I recommend you review Craig's presentation because he outlined a plan for life. If you think about those things, ask questions about them, reflect upon them, you'll have a blueprint for happiness. And in my book, The Happiness Experiment, I cover happiness planning in a lot more detail. There's a workbook at the back where you can fill in places and do the thinking work, the writing. The happiness experiment is completely unique. It's never been done before. And I'll give you a quick rundown on it. How much time do I have, please? No time? Okay. 8, there's plenty of time. Ooh, 8 whole minutes. Oh, including Cluno. Oh, that's terrible. Okay. Then let's say very quickly. Okay. Had a lot of people in my will. I thought, why wait until I'm dead? I won't get to see them enjoying what's in my will. So I decided to bring it forward. I had 20 friends in my will who I was grateful for, I admired, I loved them in some way. So I got together with them and I said, look, you're in my will. And they said, that's cool. I said, no, it's not cool because I'm going to live to 120, so you're not going to get anything. And then I said, look, I have the money now. I'm very grateful for you, what you've done for me. And you're in my will, so look, I've decided I have the money now, so I'm going to give it to you now. And they said, what? I said, yeah, I'm going to give it to you now. But there's one condition. I want to be sure that you use this money for the greatest advantage. I want to know that it's going to be well spent, that it's not going to hurt you, because money can hurt people if they don't spend it wisely. So I said to them, I want a happiness plan. And in the book, it describes that process, the happiness plans, what people did, and everyone achieved a high level of happiness. 2 people actually refused it, said, no, I can't accept that. It's too much money. Actually, 3 people said that, no, I can't accept it. But they came around. So that worked out. So my book, I had a special pre-publication. This is not published yet. I had this specially printed for you today, and I want to offer it to you at cost, about $9 each, but I recommend you buy 2 so you can fill out the worksheets in the back with a friend or a spouse or somebody. So 2 for $10. You can, let me go back here. You can take a picture of the QR code, and you can pay online if you don't have cash. If you have cash and you want it, there's a box up there with the books near the door. We're going to bar the doors, incidentally, until you buy the book. Just throw in $9 or $10, whatever it is, and take a book, okay? Because there's a supply. I think there's enough for everybody that wants them. Okay, thank you. All right. You want greatness, you want joy, you want a wonderful life. It can be that way, but it's not going to happen by accident. You have to work on it. You have to think and plan. That's all it is. It's not that hard. Have some vision, a central purpose. Have some dreams. Create a heaven for yourself. it takes a bit of work. It takes some doing, but it's worth it. And I wish you all increasing happiness and a great life. Thank you.
Hey, Carl.
I'm joining Carl up here just to help in case there are accents that he can't work out. And between the two of us, I think we'll manage it.
Thanks, Craig.
All right, so my question is, so I got a quote from Ayn Rand about psychoepistemology, where she says, the impossibility of acting by a purely cerebral method, the time element required to integrate and hold the full context of all the aspects of a complex issue makes it impossible to accomplish. One needs the lightning integration provided by emotions. So my question is, what's your views on that psychoepistemology and how that should be used when it comes to making decisions and achieving happiness?
That's a big word for this time of the morning, epistemology. The science, how we get to know things, that's epistemology. You know, there's the branch of philosophy, logic, reason, percepts, concepts. This is epistemology. And one part of epistemology, a great book on that incident, but that's another story. You need to see the full context of your life. And that's a process of thinking. What is the context? It's one of the most important questions in planning is to understand all of these situations around you, your strengths, your weaknesses, the circumstances out there. What resources do you have? So you look at all of those contexts before. If I understand your question, and if I didn't understand your question, that's a good answer for you. So we're going to let it go at that.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, thank you for your talk. So basically what I wanted to say is that while we are planning and thinking about our path to happiness, you mentioned that it could be as a duo or as a group, right? So my question is, do you believe that eventually the individual visions, values, or virtues could rely or depend on someone else? Not necessarily saying that it's a general rule, but like it's a possibility.
Did you get that?
I didn't understand it as a question. No. Can you repeat as a question?
Yeah. Do you believe that maybe as we think and we plan our way to happiness, like our path, that our virtues, values, and other stuff could rely or depend on someone else's wishes or someone else?
Great question. Great question.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. These are your values. It's what you want. It's your life. You are you. You own you. Nobody else owns you. You're your own person. Nobody has a right to push you around, tell you what you should and shouldn't do. Now, I'm not talking about being disrespectful or a jerk. You know, you get along with others. Friendships, relationships are enormously important, but you are you. And what you want, your life, what you want for yourself is really, really important. And this is the thing about purpose. Thank you for this question, because it's great. The purpose, where do you get your purpose from? Your mom and dad? From society? What other people tell you? How much money you can make? Terrible trap. Do not do anything as a central purpose for money. Money's great. Make as much money as you want. But first off, get that purpose. And that purpose is inside of you. Management didn't come. Nobody said to me, Carl, why don't you pursue a purpose as a manager? Lots of money to be made. That wouldn't appeal to me. I could have made a lot more money in real estate. Yeah, but I pursued values. And I'll tell you what, there's no comparison. Pursuing money or pursuing your dreams, pursuing what you want to do. Pursue what you want to do and make as much money as possible. But always do that. Next, please.
Thank you.
Hello. So I wanted to talk about the first part of the speech. It's very inspiring what you told about the trip to Australia. And my question is basically, I think that the value that you gained from the trip was mainly based on the fact that it was so hard and so you were exploring new territory because it wasn't common that people would do that. And my question is, well, currently we have planes, we have electronic visa applications. Anywhere you go, Afghanistan, Iraq, you will have youth hostels, you will have people who are traveling there. Do you think there is a current alternative to an experience that you have to the thing that you have experienced?
Do I think what?
The very
There's
end of
a-
that, you said, do you think there is
A current alternative, something that is as hard as it used to be. I mean, traveling to Australia used to be incredibly hard, and it used to be going for a new trail, unexplored trail.
So do you think there's something
similar
that
for
is not
our
as
age
hard now?
that is as hard now?
Yeah, that is not as hard now because of
No,
what
no,
you learned.
that is as hard.
Oh, that it's as hard.
Yeah, that
I'm
is
sorry.
as traveling to Australia in those times.
Oh, okay. Is there anything as hard as that trip to Australia that you're dealing with now?
Absolutely, taking a 60-second cold shower in the morning.
My hotel room doesn't have cold water.
No,
I tried with it for 30 minutes, doesn't have cold water. I wanted
doesn't
to do
compute.
it, sorry.
Let me take it serious. There's always hard stuff in life, no matter what it is. And ideally, you should have such a dream, such a purpose that's going to be challenging. I don't like the word hard. I think it's a great word. I love your book. But, hard things do hard things. Do things that you don't yet know. I'm creating a great university, a virtual university. It's going to be the greatest university in the world. That's my dream. It's my current dream. I still have dreams, lots of dreams. It's a big dream, huge dream. There's a lot of things I don't know about this. I don't know whether it's going to succeed or not. I'm going to spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of thinking teams making that happen. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. And challenges and hard stuff is great. It makes you grow. One of the things I took away from the question period when Judge Hardy was talking, what did you learn more from the problems and challenges and the losses and the stresses and trauma you had, or from just, sailing along, everything is cool? I'll tell you, for me, I learned stuff when something knocked me on my ass. I was down. I had suffered trauma, massive losses. And that's when I started to say, oh my God, what's happening? Why? How? How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this hole? And you learn how to dig your way out of holes, i.e. problem solve. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much for the inspiring talk. Sometimes I talk to people and they say they have rationally found their goal, they decided what they want to do, but they cannot really integrate their emotions into it. They feel insecurity, fear, sometimes anger about themselves. What advice would you give these people if they cannot integrate their reason and their emotion?
Good.
So sometimes people know what they want to do, but they have trouble integrating their emotions, anger, fear, and the like into that effort. What advice would you give to them?
You hear the thing, feel the fear and do it anyhow. But that's a pretty cheap answer. I would say do duo thinking. Sit with a romantic partner, a friend, and say, look, I want to walk to Australia. It's been done before. This guy talked about it, and I want to do it. But I'm scared. I'm nervous. I'm anxious about it. I don't know how to do it. And think it through. I think that's the best advice you get, with a good coach, a therapist, a good friend, somebody you can talk to. And that's a good question. I hate that term, it's a good question. It implies that all the others were not so good, but it's really a particularly good question, because that's exactly what happens. And I'm not sure why these other two guys dropped out. My mom is ill. Well, maybe. My girlfriend and I fell in love. I'm not crying. They were probably sincere, but maybe they're just too scared to do it. My friends at the restaurant and in the cafe that night, oh, if you can't do that, oh, it's impossible. Were they just scared? I don't know. But when you fear stops a lot of people. And it needs to be dealt with, it needs to be thought about. And I love coaching for that reason. Coaching can help you over the most difficult, challenging problems. A good coach. And they are priceless. Is there any coaches in the room? Raise a hand if you're coaches. Yeah, some coaches. It's a fabulous, fabulous thing, coaches. I have coaches now. I think I've got 2 coaches currently. And so I use my friends all the time as coaches. I use Craig all the time as a coach. Hey, Craig, I got a problem. Help me think it through.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, yeah. So wonderful. That's a great question to end on. I think I'm out of time. And so thank you very much, everyone. And again, I wish you a great life, but you've got to plan it. Take care.